What did the Nazis fight for? For a grand idea? No. They took millions of lives to get rich. Tons of gold and precious gems are just a small part of the treasures looted worldwide. Nearly 80 years later, traces of their crimes against humanity continue to reveal their terrifying secrets. You are on the Top Facts channel, and we've gathered an incredible selection of discoveries about World War II for you. Let's take a look at what you didn't know and what will shock you to your core. For almost 80 years, the legend of the Nazi gold train has fascinated many treasure hunters. This secret train was loaded with gold, jewels, and masterpieces of art, looted by the Nazi regime across Europe during World War II. Historians believe it's hidden somewhere in a mountain tunnel in the lower Silesia region, now part of Poland. As Soviet troops advanced, the Nazis gathered this wealth into a single train and secretly moved it out in a desperate attempt to hide the loot. However, the exact location of the train was unknown, and despite numerous searches, no expedition has succeeded in locating it. In 2015, two treasure hunters claimed to have found the train using ground-penetrating radar. Their statements sparked media interest and initiated a new wave of mad attempts to locate the gold. Even significant investments and government control failed to locate the legendary train, only increasing public skepticism. The Nazi gold train remains an elusive mystery, sparking the imagination of fortune hunters worldwide. The war was fought not only on land, in the air, and at sea, it was also informational and economic. That's what a world war means. When Nazi Germany aimed to weaken and destroy the world's most powerful nations, their plan was to undermine the economies of the leading countries. And how could they discredit a country like Great Britain? Fairly simply, by flooding it with counterfeit British currency. This Nazi secret operation was called Operation Bernhard and involved a specially created counterfeiting team producing vast amounts of fake money. Within 18 months, they deciphered and reproduced the paper structure, created equipment, and reproduced the British banknote numbering cipher. They produced around 134 million pounds sterling, even involving concentration camp prisoners with printing skills. Though the mass circulation of these counterfeit notes never happened, it was planned to trigger a collapse of the British financial system by airdropping counterfeit notes. The operation was halted in 1945, and most of this money was destroyed, though counterfeit notes surfaced after the war. In 2000, a significant stash from Operation Bernhard was found in a former senior officer's hideout, and divers discovered containers of counterfeit banknotes in Austria's Lake Toplitz, presumably submerged by other officers during the retreat. The operation's post-war effects forced the British to redesign their currency. Detailed analysis of the counterfeits vividly revealed the scale and complexity of Operation Bernhard as one of the most ambitious and daring financial warfare actions. One can understand that wartime shadow strategies lacked moral principles. As they say, all's fair in war. During reconstruction work in Lithuania, a research team uncovered a hidden chapter of Jewish history. The Choral Synagogue in Vilnius, the only one of 105 synagogues in the city to survive World War II, revealed a true treasure trove of artifacts and ritual items that someone managed to hide from the Nazis in its tunnels. The synagogue was the center of life for the Jewish community, but sustained significant damage during the Holocaust, with its ruins remaining a symbol of lost heritage after the war. In 2016, archaeologists began studying the building as part of a research project and found a secret room on the surrounding grounds that held a cache. Inside were scrolls, prayer books, and other ceremonial objects, probably hidden to protect them from desecration or destruction. The collection gives a vivid glimpse into the extent of Jewish culture in Vilnius, once called the Jerusalem of Lithuania. The fact that people tried to save their cultural treasures in the face of persecution speaks volumes about the Jewish community's efforts to preserve their national and religious identity. These discovered items are more than just historical artifacts or material values. They stand as powerful evidence of the community's spirit and cultural survival amid total terror. Massive events also unfolded in Asia, as wartime chaos provided an ideal opportunity for greed and the lust for profit. The Nazis looted Europe, but their regime also took advantage in Southeast Asia. The treasure known as Yamashita's gold, a colossal haul seized by the Japanese army in Southeast Asia during World War II, is one of those instances. Legend has it that the gold was hidden in caves, tunnels, and underground chambers in the Philippines. Named after Japanese General Tomoyuki Yamashita, known as the Tiger of Malaya, he commanded Japanese forces in the Philippines in 1944. Treasure hunters believe that the Horde never left the country and continue searching for it. Even after the war, misinformation and rumors resurfaced in 1971, with reports of people supposedly discovering parts of the treasure, sparking new waves of searches until the next fake story. The tale of Yamashita's gold could equally be myth or reality, but it continues to inspire enthusiasts. Just imagine how much intrigue, greed, and desire for adventure prevailed in wartime. With secrecy and transportation difficulties added, the treasure seems like an elusive mirage. The mystique of World War II extends far beyond Europe, hence why it was called a world war, as nearly the whole world went mad. The Gare Sopa is both the name of a waterfall in India and a British cargo ship. In February 1941, it was en route from India to Great Britain, carrying around 7 million ounces of silver. Since the war had begun, the British government insured the private cargo ship under a war risk policy, and that insurance would have to be paid out. The ship was torpedoed by a German submarine off the coast of Ireland. The ship lay in an unknown location at a depth of about 4,700 meters until 2011, when the American company Odyssey Marine, specializing in underwater exploration and the recovery of sunken treasures, found the wreck in the North Atlantic and took on the task of recovering the valuable cargo. The silver had not deteriorated over time, so the chances of success were high. Odyssey Marine invested its funds in the ship search and signed an agreement with the British Ministry of Transport, allowing Odyssey Marine to keep 80% of the recovered treasure, with only 20% going to the British authorities. The operation was challenging, and the recovered silver marked the largest treasure find of precious metals in history. More than 61 tons of silver bars were pulled from the ocean floor. The efforts of underwater archaeologists and engineers were truly heroic, and the recovery of the cargo is a powerful reminder of the immense risks of wartime logistics. Imagine if the cargo hadn't been insured. The German battleship Bismarck is one of the most fearsome warships in the world. Named after the first German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, the ship's short but dramatic existence ended epically in the depths of the Atlantic. The British Royal Navy hunted it down in an effort to avenge its losses. Launched in 1939, the Bismarck was a triumph of naval engineering. With powerful guns and thick armor, it seemed invincible. The British fleet felt the threat, and the ship became the primary danger to British navigation. The Bismarck's maiden voyage took place in May 1941. It, along with the heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, was sent to the Atlantic via the Denmark Strait to destroy supply ships on British sea routes. The British ships Hood and Prince of Wales intercepted them, and early on May 24, 1941, in a fierce battle, a volley from the Bismarck split the Hood in two, sending its bow and stern flying and sinking it within minutes. 1,418 men died, with only 3 surviving. Prince of Wales sustained damage and withdrew from the fight. The shocking loss forced the British to launch a relentless pursuit of the Bismarck. The Royal Navy pursued the battleship relentlessly, with aerial bombers managing to damage it, knocking out a generator, allowing water into the boiler room, puncturing 2 fuel tanks, and listing the ship to starboard. These issues hampered maneuvering, and a failure to refuel during a stop proved fatal. All available forces, including scout planes, destroyers, torpedo bombers, and even submarines, known as wolf packs, were deployed to chase the Bismarck. Prince Eugen was ordered to leave the Bismarck and head straight. On May 27, 1941, the British fleet took advantage of this vulnerability and engaged the Bismarck in a fierce battle. The brutal assault continued for hours, with the British firing thousands of shells and dozens of torpedoes. Severely damaged, the Bismarck began to sink, finally going down at 10:39 a.m., settling upright on the ocean floor without capsizing. The circumstances of the ship's sinking remain mysterious. Not only artillery shell hits, but also possibly self-destruct orders played a role. The loss of the ship's crew, with 2,200 men, preferred death to captivity, but some say they were condemned without a choice. There are reports that some crew members didn't attempt to escape the sinking ship, instead climbing onto its hull and sinking with it, arms raised in salute. This battle became one of the deadliest naval battles. Part of the crew survived. 111 were rescued by British cruisers, but a German submarine forced the British to abandon the area. A German weather ship later rescued 2 more men. A total of 116 survived out of 2,200, along with the ship's mascot cat, Unsinkable Sam. In 1989, An expedition led by American oceanographer Robert Ballard, who had discovered the Titanic wreck in 1985, located the exact site of the Bismarck's sinking. Some of the most tragic events occurred in the final days of World War II. You'd think there was no point in continuing hostilities after Nazi Germany's surrender, but the machinery of war is so complex and slow-moving that its echoes reverberated worldwide for some time. The USS Indianapolis became the war's final victim. Its tragic sinking on July 30, 1945, demonstrated that death has exceptionally long arms. The Indianapolis was on a mission to deliver critical atomic bomb components to a U.S. Air Force base when it was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine, sinking in record time, within 12 minutes. Of the nearly 1,200 crew members, around 300 went down with the ship, while 880 men were left drifting on wreckage without food or water in shark-infested waters. Over 4 days in the open ocean, they suffered from dehydration, hallucinations, and brutal shark attacks. Between 60 and 80 sailors died from the largest shark attack in maritime history. On August 2nd, a patrol plane spotted the distressed sailors, though not all survived even after rescue. 4 died shortly after. Due to a series of blunders and misunderstandings, the story of the crew's rescue did not become a heroic tale, and the shipwreck lay hidden in the depths for over 7 decades. Only in 2017 did a team led by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen locate the remains of the Indianapolis in the Philippine Sea, at a depth of more than 5.5 kilometers. Interest in the ship's story revived, including a reassessment of the military tribunal's case concerning the actions of Captain Charles McVeigh III, who was initially accused of endangering the ship by failing to provide anti-submarine escorts. He was later exonerated, and his name cleared of any blame for the cruiser's sinking and the deaths of its crew. However, the ship's loss is a haunting reminder of the human cost of this war. When people seek to resolve global conflicts by harnessing the forces of nature, it never ends well. The German diesel-electric submarine U-505, built at the Deutsche Werft shipyard in Hamburg, entered the Kriegsmarine, Nazi Germany's navy, in August 1941 and embarked on its first combat mission on January 19, 1942. As part of the Second Flotilla, the crew conducted 12 combat missions, sinking 8 ships in the Central and South Atlantic, along the west coast of Africa and the eastern coasts of Central and South America. Calling U-505 lucky would be an overstatement. In its 4th mission, a bomb struck the submarine, and it barely managed to reach the base. The next 6 missions were also unlucky, and during the 10th patrol, while being pursued by British destroyers, the commander committed suicide. The submarine's luck ran out on its 12th mission. On June 4, 1944, it was captured by Allied forces. This marked a historic event, the first time since the battles of the 16th century that the American Navy seized an enemy vessel at sea. The U-505 had sunk 3 American ships, and its capture was long-awaited vengeance. The U.S. Navy detected U-505 near the West African coast using advanced anti-submarine detectors. A combined attack involving aircraft and surface ships damaged the U-505 severely, rendering it unsteerable. Assuming critical damage, the U-505 commander ordered an emergency surface and evacuation. When the crew surfaced, they were fired upon by destroyers and planes, with several German sailors, including the commander, injured. Panic ensued, and the crew abandoned the ship, leaving the engines running and rudders jammed to the side. The real value of the submarine lay in its contents, a treasure trove of crucial documents and encrypted communications. The panic prevented the crew from destroying the secret documents or scuttling the ship. The escort carrier USS Guadalcanal boarded the submarine, focusing on recovering invaluable codebooks. The capture of U-505 was kept secret from the public and even from most U.S. military personnel to prevent the Germans from realizing their codes had been cracked. The submarine was towed to Bermuda, where it awaited the war's end in secret. In 1954, U-505 was donated to the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. Moving the massive vessel to a new home was a monumental task. Today, the fearsome submarine can be viewed in its dedicated hangar, allowing visitors to imagine its underwater voyages over 80 years ago. The USS Yorktown was a majestic aircraft carrier that played a prominent role in the Pacific Theater during World War II. Severely damaged during the Battle of Midway in June 1942, it was ultimately sunk by Japanese torpedoes. After extinguishing the fires caused by the initial shelling, the carrier remained operational and was returning to Pearl Harbor. But after being attacked again en route, it was rendered unserviceable. and the escort destroyer Hawken was also sunk. The crew managed to abandon ship, yet 141 lives were lost in the battle. The location of the Yorktown sinking remained a mystery for over 40 years, until 1998, when an expedition led by Robert Ballard, the explorer who discovered the wrecks of the Titanic and Bismarck, located it. With the research vessel Discovery using advanced technology and remotely operated underwater robots, the expedition captured breathtaking images. This groundbreaking discovery opened a new chapter of history, revealing previously hidden details of one of the most significant naval battles of World War II. The carrier rests at nearly 5,000 meters near Midway Atoll, and the well-preserved wreck provided crucial insights into its final hours, offering historians a much deeper understanding of the battle. The Spitfire, a British single-seat fighter plane, played a decisive role during World War II. Its sleek design and superior combat abilities made it a symbol of British resilience and technological mastery. Yet few know that the legendary Spitfires ended their service in an unusual way. A surprising chapter in this story unfolded in Burma, now Myanmar. An entire batch of these iconic aircraft was allegedly buried here after the war. Logistic issues and rapidly changing political realities led British authorities to dismantle and bury the planes in Burma rather than shipping them back to the United Kingdom. To prevent the aircraft from falling into potentially unstable post-war hands, they decided to disassemble and bury the planes in large crates in specially designated underground areas. This story persisted as a legend for decades, fueled by eyewitness accounts from soldiers who either participated in the burial or heard about it from witnesses. In 2012, historians made substantial efforts to initiate excavations for the Spitfires, led by British farmer and aviation enthusiast David Kundal. With support from the Burmese government and private investors, they began digging near Yangon International Airport. However, contradictory findings from historical records and geological analysis cast doubt on the existence of the buried Spitfires, as no evidence or planes were found. While the discovery remains unconfirmed, there's no definitive reason to dismiss the legend entirely. It's likely that misinformation led to the mix-up, and the fleet of crated planes may still be hidden somewhere. One can only imagine the many myths of wartime that capture the absurdity of a global conflict. The Amber Room is often called the eighth wonder of the world. This masterpiece of Baroque interior design, created in the 18th century from amber, gold, and precious stones, took artisans 10 years to complete. It adorned the summer residence of Russian empresses, the Grand Catherine Palace in Tsarskoye Selo near St. Petersburg, and was considered a gem of global culture. However, the room carried an aura of mystery. Priests were reportedly called in to perform services because candles would supposedly light and extinguish themselves, accompanied by strange noises. The fate of the Amber Room remains one of the longest-standing mysteries. Initially, it was a gift from the King of Prussia to Russian Tsar Peter the Great in 1716. Ironically, it was returned to its historical homeland during World War II. The panels and contents were removed by the Nazis from Catherine Palace and taken to Königsberg, where the room was exhibited in the Königsberg Castle for a select few. Stored in the castle's basements, it remained there until the assault on Königsberg in April 1945. After the war, extensive searches for the Amber Room began but were fruitless. It was believed that the room burned in the ruins of the castle, but in 1946, investigations suggested that the Amber Room might not have been destroyed in the fire, as amber is flammable and would not have survived an open blaze. Experts, special services, private investigators, and officials have proposed over 130 theories about the room's current location, from Siberia to Alaska. The symbol of lost Russian wealth still entices private collectors. Secret wartime treasure hunts continue in mines, bunkers, and castles that could have been the Amber Room's final hiding place. However, the Amber Room did not disappear forever. The Russian government, along with private patrons and German support, managed to recreate the lost masterpiece using old photographs, descriptions, and expert knowledge. The restoration took over 20 years and cost more than $11 million. In 2003, the recreated Amber Room was opened in Catherine Palace, where visitors can once again marvel at the beauty of the natural materials and craftsmanship. Despite the loss of the original, the new Amber Room symbolizes efforts to restore cultural heritage lost to war. Another story about a palace, the last refuge of the German ruler and one of the most mysterious places in World War II history. Hitler's underground bunker, The Führer bunker, located in the heart of Berlin, served as his headquarters where he directed the worst event of the 20th century. Constructed in 2 stages as a fortified shelter for Hitler and his closest associates, the first Führer bunker was built in 1936 and expanded in 1944 as the war heated up. It was here that Hitler spent his final days, never emerging as the Battle of Berlin began. Here, crucial last decisions were made, and ultimately it was in this underground realm that he took his own life. Eva Braun, his longtime companion, was with him. They died together on April 30th, 1945. Hitler shot himself, and Eva took poison. Soviet soldiers discovered the bunker when they captured Berlin, though exact details remained classified. The USSR kept information about Hitler's death and the fate of his refuge secret for many years. After the war, the entrance to the bunker was sealed, and its exact location was kept secret. East Germany even tried to destroy the bunker in the 1950s, but only partially succeeded. Only in the late 1980s, with the fall of the Berlin Wall and German reunification, could archaeologists and historians conduct a more thorough investigation, discovering several artifacts that provided a glimpse into the daily life of those who inhabited the bunker. Personal items, military documents, furniture. On June 8, 2006, ahead of the World Cup, the location of the Führer bunker was made public. It was only a 3-minute walk from Potsdamer Platz. A plaque was placed there, and a former Hitler bodyguard, one of the last bunker residents, attended the ceremony. It's amazing he survived, isn't it? Today, a model of the bunker and a reconstruction of its rooms with furnishings are on display at the Berlin Museum. The main thought when viewing these 20th century tombs is just how intense Hitler's desire to destroy the world must have been to reach such an end, to lock himself in darkness and descend to hell while still alive. Although this discovery is not directly related to World War II, when a soldier returning from the front is rewarded in such an incredible way, it's worth noting. The largest hoard of silver and gold from the late Roman Empire found in Britain was discovered in 1992 in Suffolk County, in a village called Hawken, called the Hawken Horde. It was found by a World War II veteran who had retired and taken up gardening. Searching for a lost hammer, he combed the garden with a metal detector and stumbled upon a fortune, a collection totaling over 15,000 items. Gold, silver, and bronze Roman coins, and around 200 items, including exquisite jewelry and tableware, were dated to approximately 407 AD. The hoard held enormous value, not only monetarily or artistically, but historically as well. It presented a vivid record of Roman Britain's height and decline. The British Museum conducted thorough excavations and discovered objects of exceptional craftsmanship. The collection was declared Britain's treasure, and the finder and the landowner were rewarded according to the law. Today, this collection is on display at the British Museum, where visitors can imagine the might and skill of the Romans and the grandeur of a distant era's wealth. This episode turned out like this. I hope you're not too tired of such fascinating information. Don't hesitate to comment on the episode and share it with friends. We'd also appreciate likes and subscriptions to the Top Facts channel. Thank you all very much for watching, and right now, check out our previous episodes which have appeared on your screen.